My name is Lucas Carter, and I never imagined the people I trusted most would betray me. That morning felt completely normal. Coffee was brewing in the kitchen while my parents argued in the next room. I had no idea my life was about to fall apart. Everything changed when my parents' shop burned down. The fire started in the back room and they insisted it was an accident. But something didn't feel right. They had recently increased the insurance coverage and the business had been losing money for months. The timing was simply too convenient. That evening my girlfriend Sophie came over. I expected comfort and support. Instead she became part of the nightmare. She told investigators I had been planning to sell the business and claimed I had a reason to burn the shop for the insurance money. Her words left me stunned. The betrayal didn't end there. My brother, Matt, backed up her story without hesitation. I couldn't understand why the two people closest to me would turn against me. Then everything unraveled. Investigators uncovered text messages, phone records, and security footage. The evidence revealed private conversations between Sophie and Matt discussing how to frame me. They also found photos placing them at the scene and video showing my parents deliberately setting the fire. The truth was impossible to deny. They had planned the entire scheme from the beginning. Their goal was to collect the insurance money while making me take the blame. They believed I would be arrested and they would walk away without consequences. Watching the footage made me sick. This wasn't a misunderstanding or a simple lie. It was a carefully planned betrayal by the people I loved most. The hardest part wasn't losing my trust. It was realizing they had already decided I would be the one to pay for their crimes. Once the evidence was revealed, everything happened quickly. My parents were arrested and Matt's role in the conspiracy became clear. He wanted control of the shop for himself, while Sophie planned to leave with him after everything was over. They had been building a future together while destroying mine. Now they faced charges of arson, insurance fraud, and conspiracy. The plan they thought would make them rich ended with them losing everything. I was left standing among the ruins trying to rebuild my life. No amount of justice can erase what they did. The people I once called family are strangers now. The trust, love, and loyalty I believed we shared disappeared the moment they chose greed over me. The days after their arrest passed like a fog. Anger, disbelief, and heartbreak hit me all at once. I struggled to accept that my own family had tried to send me to prison for crimes they committed themselves. Sophie's betrayal hurt the most. I kept remembering every promise she had made, every moment we had shared, wondering how long she had been lying to me. I had believed she was the person who would always stand beside me. Now I knew the truth. She had never been protecting me. She had been helping destroy my life from the very beginning. Sophie had used me to build the life she wanted with my brother Matt. She hadn't just betrayed me in business. She had broken my trust in the most personal way imaginable. A few days after everything came to light, she showed up at my front door. Her eyes were filled with tears and her voice shook as she spoke. "Lucas, I never wanted it to go this far." I looked at her without saying a word. Part of me wanted to yell, to ask how she could destroy everything we had built together. But deep down I already knew the answer. She wasn't sorry for what she had done. She was sorry she had been caught. Seeing my parents in handcuffs was just as painful. Shame covered their faces, yet they never apologized. Their only concern was finding a way to save themselves. In that moment I realized they had never treated me like a son. I had simply been someone they could use whenever it benefited them. A month later the trial began. The courtroom was packed with investigators, reporters, former business partners, friends, and relatives. As the evidence was presented, it became clear that this wasn't the first time my family had manipulated people. For years they had lied, deceived, and used everyone around them to get what they wanted. Now there was nowhere left to hide. Matt sat across the courtroom from me with a cold, empty expression. He never showed guilt or regret. It was as if the brother I had grown up with had disappeared long before the trial ever started. Sophie sat beside him, avoiding my eyes. The woman I once planned to spend my life with had become nothing more than another defendant waiting for judgment. The prosecutors played every piece of evidence before the court. Security footage showed exactly how the fire had been started. Text messages revealed their plan to collect the insurance money and place all the blame on me. Every conversation, every lie, and every step of the conspiracy was exposed. My parents kept looking down, refusing to meet my eyes. They knew the truth had finally caught up with them. This time there was nothing I could do to protect them. The weeks before sentencing felt endless. Every night I replayed the betrayal in my mind. My parents who had raised me had tried to sacrifice me to save themselves. My brother, the person I had defended my entire life, had chosen greed over family. Those memories were impossible to escape. When sentencing day arrived, the courtroom was silent. The judge sentenced my parents to lengthy prison terms for arson, insurance fraud, and conspiracy. Matt received a shorter sentence because of his level of involvement, but the judge made it clear that his actions had permanently changed countless lives. Sophie received probation for her role in the scheme. Even though her punishment was lighter, I knew she would have to live with the consequences of her choices forever. As I listened to the judge's final words, I felt something unexpected. Relief. They had tried to steal my future, destroy my reputation, and send me to prison for crimes they committed themselves. Instead, they were the ones facing justice. When I walked out of the courthouse that afternoon, it felt like I could finally breathe again. The nightmare was over. Life after the trial was much quieter, but healing didn't happen overnight. The betrayal still lingered, leaving scars that would take far longer to fade than any courtroom verdict ever could. Even after my family's fate was decided, the emptiness never disappeared. Their convictions had brought justice, but they couldn't erase the life I had lost. I hadn't just lost my parents and my brother. I had lost the future I believed we would share. For weeks I stayed away from everyone. I needed time to think, to breathe, and to figure out who I was without the people I had trusted my entire life. The shop was mine now. Every corner reminded me of what had happened, but I refused to let their betrayal destroy it. If I wanted a future, I had to build it myself. I threw myself into work. Long days turned into longer nights as I repaired the business piece by piece. Some days were encouraging while others were painfully lonely. Success didn't erase the memories, but it gave me a reason to keep moving forward. A few weeks later, Sophie contacted me again. She claimed she had never wanted to hurt me. She said she believed she was protecting her own future and insisted everything had gotten out of control. This time her words meant nothing. The anger I once felt was gone. It had been replaced by acceptance. I didn't argue. I didn't answer. I simply blocked her number and walked away for good. That was the moment I understood something important. My future wasn't about repairing the past. It was about creating a new life that no longer depended on the people who had betrayed me. As the months passed, life slowly began to change. The business became stable again. I met new people, built genuine friendships, and created routines that belonged to me instead of my family's expectations. For the first time in years, I was living my own life. The pain never completely disappeared, though. Late at night, I still found myself thinking about the people I had once loved. My parents were serving long prison sentences for the crimes that had destroyed our family. Matt was serving his own sentence, yet he had never shown even a hint of regret. Those memories still hurt. But they no longer controlled me. I realized I didn't need their approval, their forgiveness, or even their presence to move forward. Everything they had tried to take from me, my reputation, my freedom, my future, I had rebuilt with my own hands. And no one could ever take that away again. Then several months later, my phone rang. The call came from the prison. My mother wanted to speak with me. At first, I almost refused. I had no desire to reopen old wounds or relive the pain they had caused. But part of me wondered if hearing her one last time would finally bring the closure I had been searching for. So I accepted the call. Her voice sounded older than I remembered. Quiet. Tired. Broken. "Lucas," she whispered, "I'm sorry. I know those words can't change anything, but I needed you to hear them. I was wrong." I didn't answer immediately. The silence between us carried years of hurt, disappointment, and betrayal. Every memory came rushing back. The lies, the fire, the courtroom, and the people who had chosen greed over their own son. Finally I spoke. "I've already moved on." There was another long silence. "I hope one day you can do the same." Neither of us had anything left to say. We quietly said goodbye and the call ended. As I lowered the phone, I felt something I hadn't experienced in a very long time. Peace. My family was still facing the consequences of their choices, but I was no longer carrying the weight of their mistakes. They had lost everything because of their own decisions. I had lost my family, but I had found myself. And in the end, that was enough.